I'm going to take you back to the very end of 2014. The only Five Nights games were the first and second, and there was very little story to be unraveled. A lot has changed since, but one thing has remained the same since the very start, is that someone killed the children that are now spirits living through the animatronic suits from Freddy Fazbear's. Back then, the killer was completely unknown. Yes, we knew of the purple guy, but the fact that I'm calling him that says how little we knew. We didn't know him as William Afton for years, we just knew him as the color of his sprite in the minigames. But there were theories just like there are today. The only problem is just how little we had to base our theories off of, but there were some pretty valid ones, and some of them still hold up today. But right now, I'm bringing up a theory that is simply impossible. When it comes to figuring out who the killer in the series was, the theory that made the most sense back in 2014 was that Phone Guy was Purple Guy, and Purple Guy was the killer. The second half of that is absolutely correct, but the first is absolutely impossible. The evidence behind this was that Phone Guy said Foxy was his favorite character from Freddy's, and the Purple Guy is seen with Foxy in a minigame. And one of the famous sprites of Purple Guy is holding an object that looks like a standard phone that you'd find in an office. Now, this means absolutely nothing. The object in Purple Guy's hand is a little weird, but we can safely assume it's a wrench or some other type of tool. With how little we had to base this theory off of, this was a pretty solid one, in the same way that the Give Gifts minigame was good enough to prove that the puppet was the one that gave the animatronics life, before we even had FNAF 3 or FNAF 6. And again, that one ended up being right, so this one wasn't bad by any means. So why am I talking about all of this junk from so many years ago? Well, it's to show that Phone Guy used to be very important in the series. For 2 years, he was the only character with a voice. Aside from our character and the Purple Guy, he was the only worker at Freddy's that we ever knew anything about. There was also the whole confusion of him dying in FNAF 1 but coming back in FNAF 2, and that was a big piece of evidence proving that FNAF 2 was a prequel. The character was a big deal back in the day, but now that we have so many other characters with much more information to their name, Phone Guy barely even made it into Ultimate Custom Night, being at the very last slot. The reason I'm bringing up Phone Guy is because I have a little theory that I'm going to go over in this video, but I will also have much more to say that ties back to Phone Guy in future videos. It's also just interesting to look back on all this. I bet a lot of you watching are here because you are FNAF fans, I would presume, and this is probably an overwhelming wave of nostalgia for you. Anyway, I'll stop wasting your time. Here's my fun little theory. I'm pretty sure other people have said this before, but it's just a little fun observation. Because of the questionable significance of Phone Guy, I was wondering if he could be found in any games after FNAF 3. Obviously his voice wasn't coming back because he died in FNAF 1, and FNAF 4 didn't even take place in an office, but is it possible that we've seen him and not known it? Let's take a look at Midnight Motorist, the most frustrating minigame of all time. People believe the character you control is William Afton because he drives around a purple car, he is not allowed at this location, his home has another character that resembles the older brother of FNAF 4, and he seems to be some sort of guardian of presumably a child that runs away from home. Although associating William Afton with the color orange is unbelievably frustrating for obvious reasons, I think this guy has to be him. William Afton pulls up to a place called Junior's where we run into a green character. This person tells William that he has to leave and says, "Don't make this more difficult than it has to be," which is a really odd thing to say. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I believe a theory that MatPat once went over a while back. This location is called Junior's, and that must have some sort of meaning to it. Scott wouldn't give this location a name without it having a purpose. Also, there are cars in the parking lot with no other buildings around, so Orange Guy specifically cannot be allowed on the property. MatPat theorized that there are 2 Freddy's locations open at the same time, and this is the second one, and Scott's frustrating way of revealing this to us was by calling it a junior location. I thought there was a chance of this character being the protagonist of FNAF 2, Jeremy, because this takes place at night, but that is not the case. There are more cars besides ours in the parking lot, and Junior's is the only location nearby, so this must mean that the place is open, meaning if this is the FNAF 2 location, Jeremy's shift hasn't started yet. And if Jeremy dies on his first day of day shift, this likely isn't him during his day shift because it's clearly the end of the day. We see the green guy turn William Afton away because William is a former employee, and the green guy must have some sort of authority to do so. The time works, the dialogue works, and despite all the canonical humans existing in the series at this point, the green guy and Phone Guy are really the only ones without an identity, except for, I guess, the kids throughout FNAF 4. Are there some problems with this theory? Yeah. Do I think Scott wanted us to put these 2 characters together? Not really. But this theory makes complete sense to me, and at least gives me some potentially false closure over who these 2 characters are. Phone Guy was so important for nearly 2 years and then was never talked about again, and this gives me something, so don't take it away from me. This video is kind of just for fun though, like this clearly isn't a theory that's meant to be taken super seriously. I just think it's a fun little observation, and one that I think definitely works out if you put the dots together. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, I will have more FNAF videos coming soon, and this will not be the last time I'm bringing up Phone Guy, so I swear the beginning of this video wasn't for no reason. It did also, again, I think, just sort of contribute to why I think defining who Phone Guy is important to some degree. Not a huge degree, because there's a lot of other things in the series that we definitely need to discuss, but I think, you know, Phone Guy being so important for so long just, you know, gives me an urge to figure out who this motherfucker is. Let me know what you think of this idea in the comments below. If you want to be here for my upcoming FNAF videos, subscribe and turn on the notification bell. And like if you did enjoy, I would really appreciate that. Thank you for watching once again, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.